I'll go here. I'm trying to keep track of everything that's been going on. Early on, when we called in the the angels at the beginning, they wanted it to be clear that there was four of them, and they were like the four directions, the four cornerstones, the basis of what we have. And then this turned into like a zodiacal reference, the cardinal signs. So there was a lot of force in these beings, and a more positive word instead of force would be potential. A lot of potential here. In the center of the four came the cardinal, the red bird, the bold bird that wanted to be noticed, seen, and heard. So, and it's interesting, in one of the modules or one of the courses, there was a reference to the Bible and a quote that talks about the bull, the scorpion, the lion. These are a biblical reference to the signs of the zodiac. And on this note, in looking into people passing over and what they leave behind, two things came up. And this first part is a story that I know, which is when they take that last breath, the last exhale, this is them leaving all of the best of them as a gift behind for everything else. The other thing they leave is, if you take a body and cremate it, what is left in the ash is the inorganic salt of the earth. This is where the saying, he's a salt of the earth, she is salt of the earth, this is where this comes from. The carbon does not leave the planet, it stays here and it becomes us. It becomes part of the ongoing physical revolution. But with the soul, like the soul goes back and gives back to the whole in experience and expands in the ever expanding universe, expands the potential of what can be, because hopefully that soul that's come here has achieved a new level than it did before. In the scenes that played out, there was a yellow flower. Yellow flower is joy, and the need to bring joy into the existence. So when we're talking about the soul progression here, I saw the island, and on one side of the island is where souls come in and enter. The other side of the island is where the outgoing souls leave. And there was bliss in both of these comings and goings. There's the excitement and happiness of the soul coming in to the experience here. And there's the excitement and return to bliss that happens as the soul returns out the other side. And it's interesting and neat because this island has the bioluminescence that occurs in the center of it. And this energetic portal where souls come and go is a hot spot for, again, potential. Now, there was more, the more Paul, when Paul speaks in this occurrence, when he was going, it was a negotiation was the word that came. And I'm going to try and make through this. The negotiation was are you sure it's my time? And a recognition of the happiness and what I can return to. And at the same time, the balancing out of is she going to be okay if I leave her behind? And then the discussion was around, you're not truly leaving her behind. She'll continue to reach for you. So in that, there was the happiness and recognition of what he was going to, and the song of the angels and the light and the accomplishment of, the mission that he came for. And that seemed to be in the conversation with Paul. So I could see, and I forget the guide's face that you had. I saw her when you mentioned her name. And she's right there, right? Just at that step where we go, yes, I'm ready. She's right there. And this is, if we say, Mama Earth. returning to the divine feminine. The spaceships. So Starlink is one thing, right? You can see the lines of them in the sky, but what shows up here in the spaceships was, uh, again, the mother comes in. There's a mothership, and what was seen was small ships returning to the mother, and it was almost as if these ships disappeared into something. They returned to the mothership. Um, so this was a glimpse of a returning, and I don't know, like, if we say, if you picture a mother duck and ducklings, and you watch how the little ducklings chase behind mother so carefully and duck under her for safety and hide. This is what was in the sky that day. And in there, sorry, there's a story that links to this that may have made it to you. There was a friend out there that in the night sky saw a star that illuminated or blinked, and this was an indication that the babies, the souls, had returned and were safe. Okay. There was more, and it helps me if there's a question to put me back online.
Okay. So who was the main group or angel that you were talking to?
Well, he wanted to be known as the North Pole, and he showed me the Northern Lights, the Aurora Borealis, and it's more of that. Except this is the green luminance, right? There's a lot of this luminance around them, and what could be perceived as wings, but this is more of an energetic flow that comes off of. So the main guide was north, Aurora Borealis, Aurora, and to make himself into something that relates to me became the cardinal, the bold bird.
Okay. So we've been having a lot of electromagnetic activity on Earth that we perceive as being related to the activity that is happening on our sun. So we've all been very excitedly going outside, watching the northern lights, which have appeared visible in more places than usual. Can he talk about this from a spiritual perspective and how these energies that are coming in are affecting us and changing us, and what the purpose of them is?
Our bodies and the salts of the bodies are fed by the protons of the sun. So if you picture a scene where there's rain falling from the sky, all these, but it's like everywhere. It's not rain, it's molecules falling from the sky, feeding everything. This is coming from the sun, and there's points where the shower is more full and directed, and everything on the planet absorbs this. It becomes part of us, and when we consume food, it comes to us through food. When we sit in the sun, it is absorbed by our body. And some of what this does is bring information to us that activates parts of us. So some of it is activation. And I'm seeing DNA where there's more of the DNA coming online with what's possible here. And an interesting reference now to again, zodiacal signs, the apostles in the Bible, and the fact that the age when the Bible was written was the age of Pisces, and this is what we're returning to. This is wild. So the age of Pisces is when the Bible was written. So with the energy coming from the sun, it returns us to this time of when when men, not only men, I don't like this word, when humans walked on water and created miracles and knew more of what they were. And this is the information that's now coming to us in stages from the sun, and it comes in stages from the sun because we cannot take it all at once. As we see in the world, as people get these downloads, activations, absorb this gift that comes to us, not everyone can hold it. Not everyone can work through it. And there's a need for help with this in the world now.
So I assume he's talking about the Old Testament. So it's like a cyclical return. We're returning to the same point in the cycle. What's different about the last Piscean era and the current one?
So the cycle is an unfoldment coming back within itself. And within this progression, the toroid, there's an expansion and a furthering as this toroid or consciousness shifts. So what's the difference between the previous age and the new age is the ongoing development and expansion of consciousness that's happened, all the combined experiences, and the opportunity to take these experiences and create something different with it based on all of that collective memory. What do we go to now? What's possible now? How do you take the toroid and unfold it further into something beyond?
And can this particular angel tell us more about himself, so we understand his role with our planet?
Well, he stands as a pillar. And again, he doesn't give grace to what they are. There's not an identification of he, she. This being is a pillar, and it's like one of the underpinning energies that makes everything that's here possible, and they always have been. So this brings something to Greg. This brings something to me about the fact that there is not, what is the word? Not one God. There is all kinds of energies that all feed into the one that we call God. So this specific being, the cardinal north aurora, is an underpinning of everything that's possible in this undulating matrix where we play.
So Greg has talked more than a couple of times, about zodiacal references. And that's ancient information that goes back a really long way. And so I imagine that our current understanding and perception of that is very different than what was originally meant. If it's important for us to know, and I'm not sure if it is or not, does this angel have anything that they could teach us about that would be relevant or useful to us?
As above, so below. This is the old days, the old ways. They knew how to watch the heavens to know what would happen on earth, and presently there's a disconnect from this. Twisted T comes up, meaning the knowledge that we hold is exactly that knowledge. And when you think about the hierarchy of what's available to us, the mind and knowledge is fairly low in the hierarchy of potential. If we let go of the knowledge and look through that at what else is available to us in imagery, metaphor, and guidance, this can mean much more than we have access to in the books and the held thought that we now have. So the opportunity here is to step beyond the learned teachings that we hold and look up to what might this mean in the heavens that I can bring down to the earth. It's a cycle.
So recently, I understand that I can't remember the name of this person, discovered in the Great Pyramid in Egypt all of the signs of the zodiac. Sorry.
This is creation, and Greg had a nice story on this one that he's been telling people, and because he realized it's a creation. When we are creator beings, and when we go out and notice things in the planet, we make it real. And when the person next to us says, yes, this is real, now it is in reality and part of collective memory. So if you want to create something in the pyramid, and this is the story Greg tells, I was at the Great Pyramid and
We've lost
I
us.
dug in the sand. And as I dug in the sand, I found a piece of the old paving stone that surfaced the pyramid, and it was this perfect white, smooth stone, and it's still there beneath the sand. We thought it was lost. So when I tell people this story and encourage them to go to the pyramid and dig in the sand, now they're going to find the facing stone. And the more people that go, the more are going to find the facing stone. And we're going to find ourselves in a day where the pyramids once again are faced and crowned in gold and function, because this is in the future.
So my question that I was going to ask before the doorbell was that there was actually 24 signs of the zodiac inscribed in the Great Pyramid, not the 12 that we currently know today.
Mm.
And I wondered whether your angel had any information about that.
You see two rotating disks of star systems. It's a second rotating disk of star systems. This fits into the 2-Earth model. And at a higher level of consciousness, more of them become visible and known. This is something that comes available to us.
Does your angel have any one last piece of wisdom to share with us?
Mhm. This one's for Greg. It's the let go. The isolation is purposeful. There's a change in the DNA that's occurring, and the separation was necessary for this process to take place. So if we're to share this for others, there is divine guidance, and this often takes us away. Away from the things that we want most. And this is when we surrender to us, takes us closer to that path that we're meant to be on.
Thank you. Thank you, Aurora and Greg.